Hey, Elwood City, you're listening to WXED 107.3. This is Easter weekend. Easter weekend. Of all weekends, I think that, I don't know, I can't get into this holiday. I usually do, but this weekend just doesn't feel like a holiday weekend for me. How are you feeling today, Jonathan?
I'll not comment on that.
Right, that was a loaded question. I just wanted to see the look on your face. Okay, so let's kick out the news wrap up. What do we got going on in the city this week?
Well, the big news in Elwood is that we're applying for a $268,000 grant from, a Pennsylvania grant, and that we're matching 50-50, so it'll be a total of $536,000 for Ewing and Stiefel parks.
Oh, that'd be great.
Revitalization projects. So, our borough did release a breakdown of what's getting spent. So a lot of the shelters are getting improved. There's going to be a new bocce court. I don't know if it's going to be a new bocce court, but
I say we have one down there, but it just kind of looks like a sand pit.
Yeah, it said there's $12,000 for the bocce court, and I'm trying to think, what is a $12,000 bocce court look like?
Wow.
What I should have asked, but maybe these costs include the labor already.
They would have to.
Yeah,
they would have to.
I can't imagine a $12,000 bocce court. I Google imaged bocce courts. See, I guess there are much nicer ones since ours is just sand with
that's
some
what I mean.
Rotten wood
even
around
compared
it.
to the one that they have in Koppel, ours looks pretty shady. You know,
Yeah.
They have a very nice one at the IMBS club. I've DJ'd there lots of times. They have huge bocce tournaments. That's when I realized how popular bocce is in this area.
Yeah.
And, it's like an Italian tradition that's just kind of spilled over into everybody realized it was fun.
Yeah, so I think it should be. I guess it should be a priority to get a nice bocce court.
It is a lot of fun. So,
and a lot of the shelters are getting improved. A big thing
that'd
is
be great.
A lot of drainage in Ewing Park, especially for the festival. I mean, last year?
Oh yeah,
it was
the grounds were awful.
Yeah,
so that's excellent that they're going to get that done. So I don't think that it'll probably not affect this year's festival because usually these kind of actions take a while to.
Yeah, I believe it won't be started until next year.
Right.
And Stiefel, it's mostly the lower ball fields that are getting improved.
My fiance played softball up there, and you'd see these guys running around, and every single one of them sounded like a sailor or a trucker out there because there were so many divots in the field, and the field was off level, and all of them were always saying how they wanted the field to be redone. So they'll be real happy.
Yeah.
When they hear about it, they're going to be thrilled.
Which goes in conjunction with the upper field, which is the Lincoln softball field.
Yeah.
The school district and the borough did a project on that.
Right.
There's still, I guess it's an ongoing thing. They did some of it pre-season and some of it will be done later on.
I'll have to tell all of my blue-collar worker softball boys that the bottom field's going to be done and explain to them why the top one got done first, and they'll understand. They'll be happy.
Yeah, and it was a good example of intergovernmental cooperation.
Right.
So I did hear from some board members that the borough is very cooperative in that.
Nice. Well, that's good. So what else you got for me on your paper?
We're also getting a new handicapped ramp behind the municipal building, which I guess our current one isn't ADA compliable because the grades
that was my question.
Yeah.
I was going to say what was wrong. Why
it's too steep.
Oh.
And we're also going to get people who have people spend time on college campuses will be super familiar with those, the buttons for handicap doors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The one downside, a lot of them tend to be really hard to open manually.
Right.
I don't quite get why that's a side effect of that.
Yeah, I guess, it doesn't say that only the handicapped can press the button. So I guess if you're having a day where you just don't feel like yanking that heavy door open, just push the button. Now, they have if you go to the medical arts building, you go to the hospital, they all have the buttons on the wall that open up the doors automatically.
Yeah.
So that's good. I like that.
Yeah, so some people might know what this is. There were outside restrooms in a little to the left of the ramp if you're coming in.
Over by the side door where the wrestling, where you can go downstairs?
Yeah. There's a little structure there's a men's restroom and a women's restroom that look like they haven't been used since
I didn't know that.
like the 1940s. And there's these
Maybe that's why I didn't know they were
little
there.
gates locked over them.
Yeah.
So and there's a big brick that says like founded 1927
Wow.
or something. That's getting torn away. The bricks are getting reused.
Okay.
So they'll still be the old 1927 brick somewhere, but that's just getting taken away, and the handicap ramp will go toward
that direction.
Yeah, it'll go initially towards 6th Street,
Okay.
but then it'll swing to make it longer, because the only way it can be long enough
Yeah, I heard that it's like
is to curve.
1 foot for every 1 inch of lift is what I heard. And I
Yeah.
thought, my goodness, like if you had to go up, just 12 inches, you're talking about 12 foot of ramp. That
Yeah.
seemed a bit, I don't know, exaggerated, but
Yes, so the only way to do that is to have it curve at one point, so it'll...
yeah, my uncle was an ATV racer, so when he broke his neck and they had to do one at the house, the lift is the way they had to do it was the ramp had to go one way and then turn and then go back the other way. It was like a zigzag.
Yeah.
Because that was the only way they could get enough lift.
And so that is being completely paid for by a community development block grant.
Oh, okay.
So both of these projects that should, increase Elwood City's aesthetic appeal and
Yeah.
practical applications for residents and visitors.
Sounds good. That's good news to hear on Easter weekend.
Yeah, and the next thing I guess is also good news. We're going to encourage every borough resident to sign up for a Code Red Reverse 911 alert, which
Tell me
is anything like a weather warning or the Ameco fire. This was actually implemented by council as a result of the Ameco fire.
Okay.
So, from what I understand, a lot of residents came to the next council meeting and said, like, we didn't know what was going on. And council, they didn't necessarily officially answer this, but they didn't know what was going on either. So they can't tell people. So now they have a program. You can access it on the borough's website. It's one of the menus, actually, on the
okay.
top of their website, which is boroughofelwoodcity.com or elwoodcityborough.com.
Is it .com or .org?
It is not .org. We are
Okay.
.org. That's the distinction. I'll repeat again.
I thought maybe the word borough made it different. Okay.
Yeah. elwoodcity.org is the online newspaper,
Right.
and
That's you guys.
yes, and the .com Elwood is the borough's website.
Okay.
So
Now, you may not know, but okay, for instance, on my phone, if there's an Amber Alert in the state of Pennsylvania, my phone will go off and
Yeah.
tell me there's an Amber Alert. So if you go to the website and you click that, does it sign you up for like a text alert?
yeah, you can
Okay.
choose between a text alert, a landline, and
Okay.
or a cell phone call.
Yeah,
depending on
because
what your
having the
preference
information
is.
available on a website is all fine and good if
Yeah.
people know to go there. But if it actually goes straight to their phones,
Oh yeah.
then- okay.
You sign up to receive the alerts.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're not you're not checking the website for the alerts. You just have to sign
Sign up. Okay.
Yeah, and you
Well,
can
that's
also, the borough will be sending out letters to sign up for people who, don't have access or
Yeah.
don't prefer to use computers.
Okay. All right. So that is good news. We've had lots of good news this week.
Yeah.
I was kind of feeling blah about this Easter weekend, but you're kind of making my day there, Grumpy Pants.
So because it's in March this year, it's
That
not in the
kinda-
Easter spirit.
I guess maybe that's what it is. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
Like I had plans for the weekend to go, clean out my dad's house and get him ready to move to Florida, and then the lady was like, "Oh, well, we can't do that this weekend. It's Easter." And I was like, "Oh, what? Really?" I wasn't ready.
I didn't know it was Easter weekend until Monday.
I found out that it was Easter. Yeah, it was like Monday or Tuesday that I found out that it was Easter weekend this week. And I don't know, because my kids are older, so they don't get into whole, Easter egg hunt or anything like that. So I just didn't realize it was Easter already.
Yeah,
And then I had Tony Barge came in to prepare his Country Caravan show that will air just before this show airs. So when he came in, he made sure that he played Old Rugged Cross, and then he was like, because it's Easter, and that kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. There. I was like, oh. But I don't know. Do we have anything else that we want to throw in?
There's a couple more things.
Okay.
A shout out to the Elwood City softball team. They won their first game 10-0 against Freedom.
Nice.
So
That is awesome.
last year they had a playoff run, so that's what they're shooting for again.
Shoot for it? Yeah, all right.
And we'll just briefly touch on this, but this is going to be an issue of apparently contention in Elwood City for the foreseeable future. But so at the last council meeting, there was discussion on whether or not to hire a full-time police officer versus a part-time police officer, which brought to light lots of disagreements between the police department, which primarily center on overtime. The way it works right now in the police contract, you have to have 2 officers on duty.
Okay.
So a big chunk of overtime comes from replacement, where someone calls off, or there's also incidents like the standoff on Patricia Drive, which is that one's an abnormal one because that one required the entire police department to be on duty for almost a half day, I think.
Yeah, it was like 7.5 hours.
Yeah. So, but even so, there are several times where, somebody has to go to, like Lieutenant Kingston, the ranking officer, has to go to the Lawrence County Courthouse.
Yeah.
So then someone else has to come in.
Right, because they have to have them here on duty. Like they have to have 2 in Elwood.
Yeah.
So if one has a court hearing, then you have 3 on the clock.
So,
but,
this in 2015, there was $173,786 on overtime in the police department. So that's where council's coming from, that it's a lot of money. And I don't have this verified, but Mayor Court did say that that's down 25% from 2014.
Well, that's a big chunk. That is.
Yeah.
I mean, 25% is a big chunk. So if obviously it seems like they're trying to work on, being cohesive with council and trying to work something out,
And then with a full-time officer, they're hoping if some council members want to hire one because they're fairly certain that will reduce the amount of overtime.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an extra officer who can come in, then that means somebody who's already been on the clock can leave.
Because what they're doing with part-timers is a lot of times they're
I was
just
under the impression that they already hired a full-timer. Kruger, didn't they?
Jonathan Fozzie.
That's what it is, Fozzie.
Richard Kruger is our other part-timer.
Yeah, our part-timer.
So Judy Dicey and Marilyn Mancini on the council suggested promoting Kruger to full-time.
Okay,
Officer
that must
Kruger.
be the buzz that I was hearing.
Yeah, which last November or December, Ralph Chiappetta, who was on the council that year but is no longer, suggested promoting both of them, but that was it was rejected just because it was late in the year and it was sudden and they didn't have the numbers worked out.
Yeah, okay.
But it might end up being that both of them.
Might end up being that way anyway.
Yeah, because the part-timers, from at least what I've heard from the police department and some council members, is that they're just kind of used as a fill-in, so they don't get put onto the regular schedule, so they're not really cutting down overtime that much. The downside of a full-time officer is, which is what Council President Connie McDonald is afraid of, is their benefits add up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
So it's a fear that more full-time officers will just end up with that benefit package end up costing the borough way too much money.
Well, I guess they're going to have to keep working on the numbers and keep trying to work together. All right, so is that your wrap-up for Easter weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, you threw out your little tiny bit of controversy there, get people talking, debating a little. Debates are good. Opinions are good, as long as people are civil about it.
Yeah, which doesn't happen too often anymore. It doesn't always happen.
Doesn't always happen the way you want it to.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming in. Everybody knows that we record on Friday, so while everybody else got to enjoy a good Friday off, I made Jonathan come in here. So I want to thank you for coming in on Good Friday. I hope you have a great weekend and a good Easter, even though it kind of took us by surprise this year. And thanks everybody out there for tuning in. That was my alarm telling me to go get on the air. Thanks everybody for tuning in to WXCD 107.3. We will see you again next week for the weekly news wrap-up brought to you by elwoodcity.org.